Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Golf Chat Show Live. First of all, as we start this video every single time, we want to make sure everybody's staying safe and hopefully getting a little bit of practice in at home. Today, we're joined by David Law, European Tour player, and in fact, a European Tour winner. Welcome to the show, David.
Hey, Al, how are you, pal?
Yeah, great. Long time no speak as well.
I know. It's been a while, but it's it's good to talk to you again.
It's great to catch up. I mean, just to kind of paint a picture, when I used to caddy on the Challenge Tour, you were playing Challenge Tour / Main Tour at the time, probably like 3-4 years ago now.
Yeah, that'd be right.
So that's probably about the length of time I've not spoken to you for as well.
No, it's been a while, but no, I've been following you on the Instagram and Twitter and stuff. You're doing great.
Thanks very much. So I want to start off because you pretty much got every golfer's dream setup at home right now. You've got a net, you've got a putting green. So is that the only thing that's keeping you sane? Is that the only thing that's keeping you sharp at the minute?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm very lucky to have the setup at home that I've got. No, I'm using it every day. I'm using it a lot. It's an unfortunate time, and as golfers and I suppose anybody in every walk of life, they just want to get out and get active and do what they love to do. But we need to be responsible, and we need to just stick by the rules that we've been given. And luckily, I'm in a more fortunate position than most, probably.
So how much practice are you actually doing? Is it an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day? What are you doing at the minute?
Probably just my daughter goes to bed around now, so I would usually go outside at every night at 7 o'clock or whenever when she's just gone down. But I'll probably do another 2 hours on top of that during the day. Luckily, one of my sponsors he's got a gym rental company, so I've got some stuff off of him as well. So I'm keeping that ticking over. And it's nice to get some time at home, even though the circumstances are unfortunate. But it's good to spend some time with the family.
Because for you boys, like if you're home for 2/3 weeks, that's like an age, isn't it? Because you're used to being on the road for 3-4 weeks at a time, majority of the time.
Yeah, it's loads of time. I mean, I don't think I've spent, I think in the summer last year, I think during the Open, and we had maybe 3 weeks off after that. But apart from that, I've not spent more than 2 weeks in a row with my daughter, so it's nice to get some time at home with her and my wife. And yeah, it's funny just seeing her. I've really seen her sort of grow up. She's a year and 4 months. So she's at the age where she's changing a lot and she's starting to do all that stuff. If there was ever a time for this to happen, it's a nice time for me.
Yeah, exactly. So you can enjoy the other things in life, like being at home, seeing the family, seeing your daughter grow up. I guess if there's any positive to come out of it, it's things like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's I suppose you need to try and make a bit of a positive situation about a very poor one.
Definitely. So when do you think you'll be back playing? Because like for you boys, you kind of ramp your practice up, don't you, up until an event. Like you're not going to be the same now as if you were playing in 3 or 4 weeks' time. Your practice will get a little bit more intense potentially. How kind of you managing that? When do you think you'll be back playing?
I think if we were back playing by August, you'd be happy with that. We'd be lucky. It's tough because you need motivation. You need something to practice for. Unfortunately, just now we don't really have it. I've got bits and pieces to work on, just now, which is fine. But if your game was in a state where you were playing really good and you didn't have things to work on, then there wouldn't be any motivation to get out there and do it. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we can be back playing at some point this year. I'd be happy with.
The tour keeping you informed week by week, like this event's going to be on or that's not. We're scheduling for here.
Yeah, the communication's been good. Keith Pelly's been emailing pretty much weekly to give us updates on what the situation is and what events are on or off. And yeah, I think they're looking at all possibilities for potential things that when we do get back and playing. But yeah, I think we're in good hands with what the tour are doing, and they're not going to make any decisions that they don't have to make.
So I want to kind of go on to a happier topic, your win at the Vic Open. But then sort of like 7 months before that, where you won a Challenge Tour, because that sort of 7 to 12 months was a really good stretch of golf. You then qualified and finished inside the top 50 in the Challenge Tour, earned your European Tour card, and then found yourself winning the Vic Open. And in quite dramatic fashion as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Firstly winning on Challenge Tour in Aviemore. That was the week that really gave me belief that I could go on and get my card at the end of the year and do well. Because I just sort of treaded water on that tour for a long time, and I kicked on the rest of the year. Got my card in the end. And the beauty of coming off the Challenge Tour onto the main tour is that you're confident. You've had a good year. You played good golf. So you're fresh. You're straight out. You're eager. You're keen. So I went down to Australia, played down there, and it was just a dream week, really. The two golf courses that we played on suited me. They're quite links-like, and I hadn't played particularly good golf in I think the four events previous to that. But yeah, it just all sort of seemed to come together that week, especially on the back nine on Sunday.
Just talk us through the back nine on Sunday, how it all happened, because I think from what I was reading and what I can remember, it wasn't just like a normal win. It was dramatic.
Yeah, it was. I started off pretty steady in the front nine, and then on the ninth hole, my ball moved just before I was about to hit it with a wedge into the green. So that was frustrating. I made bogey there, and obviously knew I needed to really sort of get going. I birdied 10, 11, and then parred my way through to 16. And at that time, I think I was maybe 3 back. So I'm thinking I need 3 under in the last 3 holes to have a chance. And birdied 16. 17's a tough par 3, so I took par there. I was happy with that, and I was third at that point, playing with Brad Kennedy, who was second. So my only real goal going on that tee shot was to jump in front of him and get solo second. And the lad that was caddying for me at the time, Max Allison, we're walking off that tee, and I said to him, I'd hit a good tee shot, and I said, if I make eagle here, we'll finish second on our own. And he said, well, you make eagle here, you win the golf tournament. Which was a really, I suppose, could have went one way or the other, but it was a really good tee to hear.
Some players would go, don't tell me that, I don't want to hear that. But then obviously you reacted differently.
He's put that in my head that, right, come on, we'll go and we'll make eagle, we'll win the tournament. And it was an awkward kind of number we had for the hybrid, and thankfully it came out really good. And 8 foot down the hill, just a fraction of right to left. I couldn't have hoped for
the better to have, really, for a right-hander.
Just get it going, and thankfully it dropped. So
what was the reaction? Was it a bit like, has that just happened? Or because coming from, like you say, you sort of knew where you were, 3 behind, 3 to play, knowing you've got to kind of put the pedal down, and then doing what you did, was it like, oh my Lord, like I've done it? Or was it like, what was the relief? Was it relief? Was it? What was it like?
At the time, it was, I thought that was probably going to be enough for a playoff. So I was pretty good. I didn't really let it, get inside my head that, right, I've got a chance to have won a tour event. I just focused on, I need to get ready for a playoff if I'm in it. So, we went away at the range, hit a few balls just to get away from, the 18th green, and because the putting green's quite close to the 18th green. Wade Ormsby still had the last hole to play. He needed, I think at the time, he needed eagle to tie. So we just got away from it all, went up to the range and hit some balls. And until I got told that Wade had birdied the last and not eagled it, I didn't really let my head think about winning. But when I did get told, it was a huge relief. So
you mentioned you sort of knew where you were. Were you watching scoreboards down that back nine, down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always watched scoreboards. I had a little spell where I was played a mini tour event, an EPD tour event in 2012, I think it was. And I think I had a 3-shot lead with about 5 holes to play. And I just completely collapsed. And after that, I sort of thought, maybe I won't do it. And I don't think you can. I don't think you can and play dumb to it. I think as long as, I suppose everyone's different, but, I like to know where I stand, because it can make a difference, in what you do in certain holes or clubs you pick.
It influences, doesn't it? Because say, for example, you only needed a par down the last to kind of secure a victory, or what you thought was a victory. If it's an awkward number, like you said, with a hybrid, you're probably not going to go for that, are you? You're going to put it to a number where it's better and it might make a birdie at worse than making par.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing with golf is that you have a game plan to a certain point, and then, when it comes down to winning or losing a tournament or even making a cut on a Friday, you need to be realistic, and you need to almost be reactive to the situation that you're in.
Was there anything that week that sort of stuck out in your game that felt good, or was it just that, no, I just played how I knew I could play?
I putted really well all week. The greens, see, I never tend to putt very well on grainy greens, and we just played in Saudi the week before, and the greens were grainy. And I struggled quite a lot with that. And then I got there and seen that the greens were almost like links style greens, just the ones that we get back home, and a whole putts, the first couple of rounds, and I just knew all if I just gave myself chances, then putts would drop. And I think when you are playing, when you're playing decent and you know that you're putting well, it takes a lot of pressure off your long game as well.
Yeah.
So that was pretty key that week. I didn't hit the ball amazingly well, but I would say I putted really, really good.
Class. I mean, that's just a real nice way to kind of clinch your first victory, maiden, and sort of, was that your maiden kind of rookie year as well on the full European Tour card?
Yeah, I'd never had a full card on tour before. I'd had small categories. I'd maybe played 10, 11 events, 10, 11 smaller events on tour before that. But yeah, first full season after, what was it, my 7th or 8th year as a pro.
Nice. It's a nice progression from a good amateur career to challenge tour. But like you said, and Chris mentioned this the other day, and he said the year that he got his European Tour card at Q School, he was like, that was almost make or break for him. If he didn't get it, he was going to pack it in and not going to play golf. And then he absolutely kicked on. And I think people don't think of how hard the challenge tour is to, one, make money, make a living, but then also to progress to where you are now, a European Tour winner. Yeah,
the challenge tour it's a great tour. The standard's high. You've seen it when you've been out there. The scoring's low. So if
it's like someone shoots like 900 at least one round, don't they? Every time.
Yeah. And that's the main difference between the European Tour and the Challenge Tour. So the course setups are quite significantly different. And I think that's part of the reason why sometimes, going from the European Tour or going from the Challenge Tour to the European Tour, it's a big step. And other times, guys will just go straight in and they'll be comfortable, probably because they drive the ball well. Tee to green, they're quite consistent. Because on the European Tour, you need to, tee to green, it's important. And I noticed it a lot last year that, on weeks that I didn't do well, it was when I didn't drive it, when I drove it poorly. On Challenge Tour, you can get away with that. And that's the reason that guys are shooting the numbers that they shoot.
Are you kind of a big stats looker? Do you look at your stats every round, or?
No, not at all, really, to be honest. I've tried it in the past. For me, I'm pretty good at knowing if you're putting rubbish, you're putting rubbish. Yeah. You can tell what you're doing well and what you're doing poorly at the time. I've never really looked at stats and thought, seen a stat that made me think, wow, I didn't think I was good at that, or I'm better at that than what I did think.
Yeah, and I think because there's almost, and I think this probably comes a lot more from like the American side of things. Like they talk about all the guys knowing their strokes gain, chipping, putting, driving, the average feet, the average how much footage they make. Whereas I think if you're not a player that doesn't like that kind of thing, if you then put yourself in a situation where you think, oh well, everybody else is doing it, I must do it as well. I think it can really affect a player.
Yeah, it can. I had a wee spell where I was looking through stats and, looking at them and saying I'm a rubbish putter. And if you believe or you keep thinking that you're a bad putter, you'll become a bad putter. And I think it's important to be realistic as well. If you're not putting well, you need to work harder on your putting. But, it can reinforce something. You can go, wow, I'm a fantastic driver of the ball, and that can get in your head as well. It can work both ways, but I enjoy looking at them. I enjoy looking at all the shots gained stuff on tour. And
do you get that after each round as a player? Can you access that?
Yeah, you can access that. And it's interesting to look at, and it's one of them things you do. If you have a rubbish putting round, you like to come off and see how bad your putting was, or if you have a good.
Yeah, other way around, you don't tend to look, do we? Oh my God, I gave 6 strokes away. Whereas when you've gained like 4 or 5 strokes, you don't even bother looking.
You don't even look. That's just normal. That's what you should do.
Okay. So who's your favourite player that you like to play with most on tour? Because first 2 rounds, Thursday, Friday, are mostly drawn. Is there a certain player you always play well with or like playing with?
I'm particular. I'm quite happy to chat on the way around and stuff. So if I'm playing with somebody that likes to talk and somebody that I get on well with, it's good. I like playing with in Abu Dhabi this year. I played with Grant Forrest and Callum Hill, which was nice. Two Scottish guys, two guys I know well, get on.
There's be a reason for that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I don't know. I get on well with with a lot of guys, and if I'm playing with somebody that likes to chat, I'm quite happy.
Yeah. So, and there's another question here for you. What's your favourite moment away from your win on tour?
I think it would be getting my card. So that last day in the Ras Al Khaimah, the grand final and challenge tour was a special day. It was something that I'd worked hard for. To actually get on the European tour and have a full card. So I would say other than winning in Australia, that was the day that I really felt just happiness and felt like I'd actually achieved something good.
As soon as you get your European tour card from Challenge Tour, you've literally got about 2 to 3 weeks downtime before it then all starts again. There's no real rest, is there?
No, there's not. But I think at that time it's a good thing.
Does it help you?
Yeah, it helps you. You go straight onto the European tour playing well. Confident. And that was the way I seen it. A lot of guys, some of the guys would take those 2 weeks off and actually have a 6-week break or an 8-week break and start again in the desert. But I went and played. My daughter was born. So we had 4 events. We had Hong Kong, maybe Mauritius, South African Open, and Leopard Creek. And I played Hong Kong. Came home for 2 weeks. My daughter was born on the Wednesday, and I left on the Sunday to go and play Leopard Creek. Played that one and then came home for Christmas and we had a bit of time off. But I was just sort of convinced that I was going to play as much as I possibly could play at the start.
Yeah, and I think that's a massive thing, isn't it? Well, like you say, you won, but even if you hadn't have won and you get a good start, it can really make a massive difference on the re-rank, getting into bigger events. And we all know if you can get into the Rolex events or the bigger money events like the BMW International in Germany, that they can make or break a season, because you go from playing for a pot where if you finish 25th, you pick up 4 or 5 grand to sometimes picking up 10, 11.
Yeah. I mean, it's important to feel comfortable as well, and if it's your first year on tour, it's different if you've been on and off the tour for years. But, you want to get on there and play and feel comfortable out there playing. Which for me, it definitely helped to get out there early and get out playing.
Now, next question for you, and this is what I think people don't really kind of realise. I want you to give me one high and one low of being a European Tour player.
I think if you're a golf fan, some players out there don't follow golf or they're not really that interested in it. They're just good at it. But, for me, being a fan of golf, it's just playing all these big events, that you've watched for years and, playing courses like the Emirates in Dubai, playing tournaments like Wentworth, Scottish Open, Irish Open. It's just great experiences. It's what you worked hard to do, and having success. Winning tournaments. There's just it's why you do it. It's what you practice for. I mean, lows. It's obviously just being away from home, being away from family, and when you're not playing good. It's quite a lonely sort of place if you're playing poorly.
Your wife and your little one, when you get back out, when the tour starts again, will they come to a few events when she's a little bit older?
Yeah, they will. They travelled a lot last summer. We did maybe a dozen events last year, which was great. Especially when Penelope was, she was only 4 or 5 months old and stuff at the time. So, they're growing up quick. So it's good to get them out, and it brings a bit of sort of normality back to tour life. And it gives you still a bit of a routine, and no, it's good.
Okay, next question, again from Instagram. What's the best piece of golfing advice you've ever been given, and who was it from?
I find that's quite a tough one. Paul Laurie's helped me out for a number of years, for probably almost 15 years. And the advice I've had from him over the years has been, it's helped me a great deal. But I mean, something that sticks in my head, and I can't remember if it's Paul who said it or who said it, but it's about working hard on not only your weaknesses, but working hard on your strengths. I think working hard on your strengths it's important to do, because that's why you're a good player. A lot of people will identify weaknesses and spend so much time working on them, when ultimately, the reason you're a good player is because of your strengths. It's not, you can improve because of your weaknesses, but if your strength becomes average, then all of a sudden, you're going to struggle.
I think a lot of golfers need to realise that I'm one of them. Like, I know, for example, if I'm playing like a local PGA event, I'll always go and practice what I know I'm not good at before an event. And actually, when I get to that little event, I mean, nothing like what you guys play, one-day events, but my weaknesses, what I thought, usually become my strengths, and the good areas of my game usually go absolutely Pete-Tong.
Yeah. No, it's just one of those things that, I mean, I know I'm guilty of it, but you also need to practice your weaknesses, because ultimately it's what you're going to improve with. But it's easy to just stand and practice your strengths. But I think that's really important to, if you're a good driver of the ball, you need to keep being a good driver of the ball.
Just on Paul Laurie there, you mentioned him then. I mean, I don't really know a lot, but I know what you sort of mentioned to me when I was out there caddying, and he's done a lot for you, like you said, but a lot for Scottish golf, hasn't he? Especially the Challenge Tour players, the guys who are just starting out, and I think the amateurs as well.
Yeah. Paul's done fantastic things in Scotland, especially up here in the northeast. He's, I mean, I came into his foundation when I was 15. He looks after. He still coaches my short game, putting. Course management stuff I do with him. He manages me as well. He's got a golf centre in Aberdeen where, there's a few of us that practice there, which is a good environment to be. We play golf together a lot, and the advice that he's given me, especially, recently when I got my card, at the end of 2018, after winning and things like that, it's things I wasn't prepared for, really. So to have him to lean on was a great help.
Yeah, I guess even just probably send a text message at the end of an evening, or a little piece of advice can make a real difference, especially not only coming from someone who's someone you trust, but also someone who's done what he's done in the game of golf. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I think Paul got his card in '92, so it's a long time to be playing on tour, and he'll have made all the mistakes. He knows that, inevitably I will have made, loads of mistakes in my first year on the main tour and all the years that I've been pro, but, it's about learning from them and try to do the right things all the time.
Okay, next question. What's been your lowest round of golf, and how many holes in one have you had? This is from Keelan on Instagram.
Lowest round of golf, I think, would probably be 9 under par at my home club, Hazelhead.
There's also a question on that in a minute as well.
I think 9 under, maybe I've had a couple of 8 unders on Challenge Tour, both in Austria. But yeah, I think 9 under at Hazelhead. And
hole-in-ones.
I've only had 3, so I've not had a hole-in-one since I think 2010, maybe.
God, you've got a bit due on there, surely, haven't you?
I know. Close a few times, especially recently, but no,
just save it to Wentworth or somewhere with a really nice car, Porsche European Open, BMW or Wentworth, where you've got something to win from it.
Yeah. Absolutely, and a nice i8 would do well.
Oh, would be all right. It would fit in them fine. It's only like people like Chris would win them. So just on Hazel, is it Hazelhead? Hazelwood?
Hazelhead.
Hazelhead. I mentioned this before we came on live. I think it was probably one of your friends. Is that the home of golf?
Well, that's what I refer to it as, the home of golf. It's where I grew up playing. It's a great course. The number 1 course is fantastic. We've got two 18-hole courses, a 9-holer and a pitch and putt. Council run in Aberdeen, but it's for me. It's where I grew up playing golf, and I think it'll always be my up there in my top 5 favourite places to play golf.
Class. Well, I need to come and play that. I'd never heard of it until about half an hour ago.
Yeah, absolutely not. Come up for a game.
If you invite me, I'm up. After all this is over.
Absolutely.
So you're a player that's gone from the amateur ranks, had a good amateur career, won as an amateur, gone then into Challenge Tour, won on Challenge Tour, now won on European Tour. What would be the one piece of advice you'd give a young golfer starting out now on the ladies or the men's tour that you think would really help them?
I would say that you need to go out there and enjoy it. You know, enjoy the experiences that you have and all the tours. I mean, with your game, probably I've been bogged down probably recently too much in the technical side of the game. You know, you lose track of what you're trying to do. You know, ultimately you're trying to get the ball in the hole in as few shots as possible. And I think it's very easy to get sidetracked and, you know, technical issues or working on your golf swing all the time, and, you know, you lose track and lose sight of ultimately what you're trying to do. So I've tried recently, and it's not as easy now, obviously, hitting balls into a net all day long, but, you know, I've been working hard recently on just trying to hit shots, you know, try to play shots that I would play on the course. But yeah, that would be the bit of advice I would say. You know, stick to what you're good at, and, you know, just keep focusing on what you're trying to do. You know, you're trying to get the ball in the hole in as few shots as possible, and you know, obviously you need to work on technique and things like that, but, you know, there's times and places to do that.
Because it can seem a long way away from being an amateur, especially now. Like, you hear guys who turn pro at 18, like the Roy McIlroys of this world, and then they go and perform, and they skip out the rest of it, really. But I think people don't realise is that the main kind of journey for a European Tour professional, PGA Tour professional, is to go through the ranks, isn't it? It's to go amateur, it's to go Challenge Tour. And when you are when you are playing as an amateur, it can seem a long way away, can't it? The European Tour.
Yeah, it can do. It can do, and I think it's important to have goals all the time. You know, to keep focused on what the end goal is. You know, and sometimes to make it a really high goal. You know, for me, I think I just sort of aim to be, because I'd spent so long on the Challenge Tour, my aim was just to get on the European Tour. You know, and then to go from just aiming to be on the European Tour to all of a sudden I'd won quickly, you know, after getting on it, I found that quite hard to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, so my aim for so long was to just get onto the European Tour and play, and I'd be happy, you know, and all of a sudden I win. And, you know, that was quite tough to deal with. I didn't play very good for quite a while after it, you know, because it should really be a weight lifted off your shoulders doing that, but it adds pressure. But I suppose if you get it in your head that you're not there just to play, you're there to win, you're there to, you know, get into the top 100 in the world, top 50 in the world, you know, then that'll help get your mindset right for when it does come along. You get on tour, you're prepared to go out there and, you know, not just win events or make cuts or, you know, but you're there to try and progress.
Yeah, but like you say, I bet that is so hard, especially winning so quickly. It's almost like you've got to go, right, okay, that's ticked off. The goalposts have now moved.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough, but, you know, all of a sudden you kind of get flung into, you know, TV groups and things like that. You're playing with guys that you've watched play, you know, on tour for years, and you know, that side of things I didn't deal with, you know, as well as I should have probably. But, you know, I learned from it, and it's all experience.
Exactly that. And like you say, people like Paul Laurie will definitely help you through those situations. And like you say, you'll learn from it yourself. Okay, David, last two questions. This one's come live from YouTube. What's been your favourite course on tour so far?
Favourite course on tour?
And it can't be the one at the Vic Open because you won.
I think for me it was probably Wentworth. You know, and it's probably a combination of the event itself and the golf course. But you know, it's an awesome golf course in the trees. You've got to shape it both ways. Condition of the course was amazing. It's one of these tournaments that you've watched on TV as well for years and years.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a real buzz to play in it. You know, that week I wasn't playing very good, but I'd ended up having I think a birdie maybe 4 of the last 6 holes to make the cut. So it was nice to get an extra 2 rounds, you know, play 4 rounds at that tournament when fans, and you know, the event itself was so good.
Because in the past, that course has got like sort of a bit of stick from the players, hasn't it, when it's not been in the best nick?
Mm. Yeah, I think they redone the greens maybe not last year, but the year before. That was my first time there, and the greens were amazing. The design of the greens and stuff were good as well. So I think they'd redesigned them from previously when it had got a bit of stick and stuff. But nah, it's an awesome place.
Again, nowhere I haven't played that either. I'm not playing anywhere really. No, I'm joking. I have, but okay. Final question. This is something I've asked every single person that's come on the show. Fantasy golfer. So you've got to pick a driver swing. You've got to pick an iron swing. You've got to pick a short game, so that's pitching and chipping, bunker play, and then you've got to pick a putting action to make up your fantasy golfer.
Driver's got to be Rory McIlroy, I would say.
Just join everybody else who said that, but yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, it's just the best, isn't it?
Yeah, he's good.
To fly at 320 through the air and be as straight as he is, that's what you want. Iron play, I'd probably say I'd maybe go Lee Westwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played with Lee in Denmark last year, and his iron play was, you know, it was good. He's got a lot of control over the ball, and yeah, no, I would say Lee Westwood, and then short game, it's got to be Paul Ory. He worked with him for years, so I know how good he is at it all. He's got all the shots around the greens, and no, he's good at that. Putting, probably say Oliver Wilson. He would be the best putter that I played with before. I remember I played in Aviemore a few years ago, and I played with Ollie Wilson and Rhys Davies. And I've never came off a golf course so dejected about my own putting in all my life.
Rhys Davies can putt as well, can't he?
The two of them. But I would say Ollie probably pipped him that 2 days. Not by much, but just.
That's a strong fantasy golfer. Well, thanks very much for your time today, David. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure, pal. Nice catching up.
Yeah, really nice to catch up on it, and we all wish you the best of luck when and hopefully we get started soon. We'll be definitely watching out for you, and hopefully victory number 2 is on the cards.
Hope so, mate. Thank you.
Yes, pal. Thank you. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much for joining me on tonight's show. As always, we're back tomorrow at 7 p.m. And if you did enjoy the content, don't forget to go down below, follow Davies, how he gets on in the next few weeks, and hopefully when we start on the European Tour again. Thank you very much. See you next time. Cheers.